here and will be on the city's YouTube channel at some point. So moving on to roll call. With that in mind, to help enhance our viewers' experience, if you could state your name when we go through the roll call, please. Roll call.
I'm Mary. Mike. Shirley. Well, that is.
You identified as me.
Kate Pasha.
Yes. Yeah, Kate, there you go.
Nick Wolf.
Mary Ann Wainwright.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to approval of the consent agenda. There's just one thing I want to make sure that the council make notes of on inside of the consent agenda. You see some information provided by the Iowa League of Cities on House File 718, an analysis of part of that is for property tax changes, so I just want to bring that to your attention. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so I don't see the sheriff's deputy here yet, so library, Kathy.
Kathy Bain, Fairfax Public Library Director. We had a board member resign at our last board meeting. I have had one person step up interested. Anybody else knows anybody, they can send them our way. The farmer's market is growing. We had 3 our first week and we had 5 last night. We have lots of traffic. So if you know anybody that might have something they want to hawk at the farmer's market, send them our way. We're also going to work on trying to get a visioning group together to see where we'd like the library, where the community would like to see the library go. Maybe moving towards a friends group or a foundation or something like that. And then we will not have a board meeting next month because we take 1 month off a year. Any questions for me?
Thank you. Fire department. Then we will do that.
Lynn Miller, Fairfax Fire Department. As far as I know, everything's been going as planned. We really haven't had anything going crazy, calling for about normal. Starting to get ready for USA Days. We'll be doing some prep work for that around the station. Buying equipment or buying stuff for their lunch and so forth. The other one is fireworks. They're still on order. There should be no problem. We'll be ready to blow them up. Anything for us?
Thank you.
Chris Phillip, Building Department. So within the report, I put some information on the noise complaint. We get noise complaints every now and then. And I put this in here so you guys are aware we really don't have a noise ordinance. That's all we got in there is under disorderly conduct. And when residents make a complaint about noise, it's like give it to them. We also had a complaint about vehicles driving through city-owned property. Hopefully that's taken care of. Other than that, P&Z map, we're still kind of muddling through the requirements for subdivision. Don't know that anything will come out of that or not yet. So, any questions for me?
Thank you. Thanks.
This burning the miller. Things going on around us, electrical down at the complex, they've done a lot of the conduit ran to the spots, they're getting ready to put the posts in. The guy that's doing the posts, he's been on vacation all last week, so we got all the posts been delivered and ready, so we're just waiting on them to be back. They're really ahead of the schedule, I believe. They're doing pretty good. Hawks Ridge lights in their pavilion, they've been installed. We know they're on 24/7, and they've been told numerous times they still they came in the Memorial Day week Friday, and they did it hard and fast, and they were gone. But they'll get it. The new park up in the Heartland Edition, got the concrete in, graded, basketball courts up. The hoops are marked. They did that today. They were going to hydro seed it today, because earlier when I left, they had not done that yet. But they're still planning on seeding it, even though it's out of the seed date. It's past that, but they're gonna take care of it and cover it. Otherwise, we've been getting ready for USA Days, trying to clean up the town as much as we can, plant the trees, get a lot of mowing done. I did have some vandals, mischievous stuff done up at Hogs Ridge. Around there, nothing crazy yet, so we're just kind of watching, trying to catch them. Nothing terrible. Library windows been ordered, and the baseball hit, one of the windows broke the inside pane. So when we get that, who knows? But it's been ordered for a while. But that's all I got.
Thanks, Ben. Water and wastewater, Kevin?
Kevin Stems on water and wastewater. We have a request from Kirkwood. We have another intern that'd like to do an internship with us. And so in the July meeting, I'll bring forth the approval for the intern and minimum wage cost for his 140 hours that he's wants to do that. And so that'll come up for next month. The water line across Prairie Creek, they have got just one connection left to make on the north side. Prairie Avenue side is completed and hooked up. We should be probably filling the line either tomorrow afternoon and somewhere by the end of next week, it should be in service. Dan Bushman's water line is installed. The first bacteria test was taken yesterday, the second today, so we'll get the results at maybe in service in a day or so here. The other thing that we had going on is we had a complaint about some odor in our water in a bathroom faucet. And so we did some testing, biological testing, sent 3 samples to the lab on 3 different faucets, and found there was no colon, no biological that was creating the problem. So I gotta have a discussion with them on Thursday at 4, but it's nothing I can kill. So it's a chemical reaction between their pipes, fixtures, and water. It's not something I'm going to be able to solve for, I'm afraid. But we'll explore some other options. The last thing, I guess I'm going to tell you a story about the splash pad. So that earlier in the season, the HMI, which is a computer screen on the outside, which is a touch screen that operates everything, gives us control of the microprocessor inside, failed. So in that time frame, I had to, sort of speak, hotwire the splash pad, bypass all the electronics to get it to work. So the computer was still working. So we were running the program blind, but it was still running the program. So about a week into that, the PLC failed. So now we have no electronics. So that meant the splash pad was not going to work. So at noon, I'm sitting out there wiring every feature independently to power everything up. So using a 24-hour clock timer, a 12-minute relay timer, and another relay, I was able to put the whole thing back in service, and nobody knows the difference. So, calling the company about the HMI, they sent us one out, $2,500, and it wasn't programmed. So then I called him back. He sent out another one, programmed. I put it in, and that's when our PLC failed. So I called him back and I said, so what are we going to do about this? He goes, well, we're just going to replace the parts. I said, you're not going to troubleshoot the program or anything? He says, We don't do that. We just replace parts. $4,000 for a new PLC. I said, you can keep it. I'm gonna fix this problem. So I'm gonna review my electrical drawings. For $2,100, I got all the relays to make this a relay logic that has more control, more adjustments than what that PLC could ever offer. Plus, it can be fixed and easily replaced. And the problem is with the PLC program, we didn't own it. It was proprietary. We had no way, nobody else could work on it. And so this way, it's hard relay logic. It's repairable, any electrician. You look at that, fix it in an instant. So that's the story of the splash pad. So other than that, things are going good.
Happy ending as long as you don't go work for that company.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, we're still waiting for them to contact.
Well, yeah. They were supposed to come last week as he was driving through to Missouri. They never showed. So if that was the case and I wasn't able to do what I did, our splash pad was still out of service.
We would not use it yet this year. Wait on it.
So,
And we haven't paid it.
Yeah, we haven't paid it yet.
No.
We're not going.
Does that cabinet have a dryer in it, a heater? Never did.
It's so humid in there.
Yeah, they should have a dryer in it.
Last question, did the first one freeze? Did something with the cold?
With electronics like that, cabinets that get a lot of humidity, usually there's a heater circuit that's to make a drier environment in there. That could have been a factor in what happened with it.
Yeah. So what was disappointing is they did not have the ability to troubleshoot the program or the hardware.
Well, this requires anybody around here probably come and work on it either.
Well, I did ask Jenko if they would, run the program for the splash pad, and he says, yeah, they've already did it before.
Yeah.
And so, but again, the relay logic is simpler, and we don't change the programming on how the features cycle. So once we get them set, we'll be actually be able to save about 50% of the water by doing it this way, than what we're doing right now. So it'll be very helpful.
At least you can replace relays. Relays are easy to, you know.
Well, they're only $45 a piece.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah. Anything else?
Oh, I do. While they're working on that crossing down there, are the tires that are piled by the stop sign,
They use them to track the loader.
So they don't break stuff?
excavator across the street. They've been, all that's been removed so far, that's all gone.
Yeah, well, it's not.
They cleaned everything up on that side of the street.
okay, so in Prairie, when I came tonight, there's still tires there. People thought that they were just dumped or someone
No.
left them down there, and I said, I think that they're with them,
Yeah,
but,
they use them to track across the street.
They got nice trash, so.
Yeah.
so they'll saw in once, okay. Just so I have an answer for them.
And actually, that side of the street is all cleaned up already.
It looked like they had graded it, but the tires were still there. Okay.
Thanks, Don.
Sure.
So I know, Joe put a Parks and Rec Department update in the packet. Is he on the phone, Cynthia, or no?
Oh, no, he said Bernie's on.
That's just.
He's at the park. He said if we needed something, we'd call him, but he wasn't gonna make it.
Okay, so his report's in the packet. Looks like Shane's going to the podium for engineering.
Shane Wicks Engineering. Anything specific to add other than the reports? I guess I would like to update you a little bit on Vanderbilt Street, UP Railroad Crossing. Had a pretty extensive write-up in the report, but basically we finally got the maintenance permit. We were gonna get the final approval. We weren't hearing back from them, so John followed up and now they want to meet with the consultant for the UP and the UP representative. And it probably won't be until late June. I guess we still be a couple months after that before we actually get full approval. the joys of working with Union Pacific Railway. Any questions about that project or anything else? All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Shane. See the sheriff's deputy just walked in? Hello?
Judge, Commissioner's Office report, from 5/9 to 6/13, city had 76 officers hours for that time frame. And that's for,
Anybody have any questions for the deputy? I just have one comment in case you weren't aware. I had contacted Major Holston last week about keeping an eye out for underage drivers of golf carts, ATVs, and UTVs. Okay.
Do you want to make them aware of USA Days?
Oh, yes, and I also made him aware that, next week is our annual USA Days celebration, Friday and Saturday, 23rd and 24th. Anything else for the deputy? Thank you. All right, moving on to item I. I was talking with Cynthia about looking for a way in order to communicate some of the activities that I've been involved with and present them in a simple yet formal way. And so she suggested that we just add a mayor's report to the council agenda, so you'll find that inside of the packet. Beyond that, I don't have anything specific unless you have some questions about what I stated. I'll do that every month so that you know what's going on. Okay. Now we'll move on to item 6, discussion and possible motion concerning switching agents for employee benefits insurance policy. All right, so you've got the floor.
I'm Dean Zelli with Central Insurance Central Bank. My office is in Urbandale, but in years past, I did do the employee benefits for the city of Fairfax. I did switch employers and I had a non-compete, so I couldn't work with you guys anymore. And that non-compete is now expired. Inside your packet, there's an introduction letter from me and a list of some of our services that we do. The main thing that you need to understand is that we are compliance driven. We want to make sure that everything we do is within regulations for the state and federal. Because you're in this municipality, there are a few things that you're exempt from, but there's also a few things that need to be taken care of, and we strive to provide superior service. We want to make sure you understand that if you switch to us for servicing, your rates and plans stay the same. There's no increase in rates. And we just take over the servicing of your accounts and make sure that everything is up to snuff, and that will help you at open enrollment time and sit down one-on-one with each employee and go over the benefits so they understand how they work, just to take some of the load off the clerk and the mayor.
And just to let you know, we, had stayed with Fortress Benefits, but now they have sold, so it'd be a new company. I forget the name of it.
KHI, General Agency.
Would be the ones taking it over. And we've never dealt with them before. I can let you know that Dean had excellent customer service for us. And when he left Fortress, we did see a drop in what I would consider our customer service. And so I'm looking forward to getting back to his customer service if you approve it.
Thank you, Cynthia. That was unsolicited.
Does anyone have any questions for Dean?
So it's just some paperwork
Yes, it's
transfer,
just- yes.
keep all the same policies
Yes.
and everything he reps for the same company.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, there's no change for the city other than we'd be servicing it.
Motion?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. There you go.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, number 7, discussion and possible motion concerning drainage on Novak Electric site. Who's gonna talk about that?
Hi, I'm Shane Novak, owner president of Novak Electric. I'm here today to discuss the possibility of changing the drainage on the site that's across the street. I have some papers for you here. I guess. Here's some drawings.
One for each of us?
Yes. This is the signed, agreements with the business owners that are down the road from me, down for the agreement.
Watch the boards.
Did I- Almost got that?
I know, it's.
Per the original site plan, per the recommendations or guidance of the city engineer, all the water drainage from that property was drained to the rear towards wall and repair, which would be to the west. What I'm proposing, what I'd like to do is take the front half of it and drain it down to the existing ditch that is there. My thing is, the state, I kept getting driven that said, all water has to follow natural drainage. That isn't the case. That's a recommendation. And I feel I was strong-armed into this because I was under a tight deadline, my fault, my bad. But you have a ditch in front of my property. You have culverts under all them driveways. The purpose of the ditch is to handle stormwater. The way the drainage is now, it all goes back to wall and repair, which has flooding problems, has had flooding problems. Why would you take water from the front of a property where a ditch is and take it to the rear to another business that already has water issues? Makes no sense. And so what I'd like to do is drain the front half of the property to the ditch. Now, per prior council meeting, we needed approval from 4 landowners that were affected. And I got all of them except for Tom Hart. Tom Hart won't even talk to me about it because he is so pissed off at the city of Fairfax. Not me, not my drainage, the city of Fairfax, that he will not do nothing for the city of Fairfax. So I'm being punished by something I have no control over. None at all. And if we're willing to put this water on Steve's property, Wall Repair's property, why can't we put it on someone else's property? It's the same amount of water, whether it goes this way or this way. And I would just like common sense to prevail and say, why would you, when you have a ditch in front of a business, why would you take water from there to the back in between properties where there is not a ditch?
Dane, are you just talking about the stuff to the east of the building?
Yes,
Going to the
just the
ditch?
east.
So that's
So
your front?
I'm sorry,
right?
I'm not good at this.
No, that's fine. I just want to make sure that we're not talking the
Yes,
north
if you
side,
look
but
at-
we're talking
The east side of the property is
right?
what we all agreed that we're fine with it going along the ditch. We'd initially put conditions on it that the people downstream,
right, and we
agreed
saw
to it.
water calculations that said roughly what that.
Well, the
amount
reality
was,
is
right?
that's not a natural flowing waterway going to the southwest corner of Wallen's lot, considering the land above it was illegally built up back when Van Storage built their property. So it's not a natural flowway. We also know we've had problems with Van Storage blocking the waterway that drains out of Wallen's storage. And even with the city, fixing that waterway for drainage, there's still standing water issues on Walls. So the
And
question.
we're just gonna push water there more. And we're talking, for the engineers, we're talking on a 1 year, but we're talking 0.006 cubic feet per second. On a 5 year, we're talking 0.02. On a 100 year, we're talking 0.24. So we're not talking a lot of water. It's not, I don't, the person that is holding this up is a quarter mile down the road. And it doesn't affect it. But it's going to affect other businesses. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You can't. And if we're willing to put this water on other businesses, why can't we put it in the ditch? It's the same amount of water. Like I said, I'm just asking for common sense.
When it drains down to Art's property, isn't it just going into that drainage that we, built and goes into the creek? That my
That goes through
understanding.
that culvert and the drainage.
If it stays advances, but if it comes in the ditch, it goes across their driveway between their buildings. That's why they're against it.
It goes into the drainage way, that goes between. It goes down the natural path, walls and down past, floods into there.
Right.
That goes past the lift station. That's all.
Into the creek.
Yeah.
And so that's,
Ways that go to creek.
that was Art's point, which I understood, is he doesn't want more water going across that driveway, so if it stays on the east, it would go across the driveway. And when I talked to Tom, it was his father, but it was adamant about that side.
Shane, what's the percent of water that would be moved, not in cubic feet, but the percent that it?
It would be, it is 62%, I believe. So I don't know who's trying to. Actually, it's on that sheet that I gave you, Joanne, that the people signed.
Shane, what did you have this on, or is it in our contact?
I'm good with that.
You're good with it? Do you have any comment on the numbers that he's quoting?
Numbers are small. I mean, the numbers are small either direction. The reason that they put in the detention is to reduce the amount.
I have a question.
It's
Can
being
we,
reduced with the detention.
can we do the same thing in the ditch?
What's that?
So he basically has a retention pond that in the outlet is to a certain point to release it at a certain rate. Can't we do the same thing in the ditch and just adjust the height of the culvert in the ditch to retain that water and not release it at a different rate?
The culvert goes under the existing drive.
Well, I can,
Does he have a culvert on the existing drive? I guess that's my question is, can we do the same thing in the ditch that we're doing on the property?
And you can look at doing that, you'd have to replace the culvert, you'd have to look at downsizing it, and have all design.
but what I want to do is drain the retention pond into the ditch. I'm not looking to get rid of the
One of
pond,
these things.
retention pond. So the
Oh, okay,
retention pond will still hold the water.
okay. I
I just don't want to
thought you
I
were,
just don't want to pipe it to the.
okay, so you're gonna keep the retention pond
Yeah.
and just hold the water in there and then release it at a
Exact
rate
same
into the
way,
ditch.
same rate.
Release it straight south instead
In
of
a
south.
different direction.
But
So instead of going back towards his property, you're just gonna release it
And
back.
by the time it goes west, it's in a man-made waterway that goes all the way down around past floods and, barrens and into the middle of the gardens. Yeah, basically ends up at the same place. Correct. And I mean, every one of these buildings along here is drained into the ditch.
That does end up at the exact same place then, doesn't it? Or not?
No, close.
I'm having her
This
pull
east
up,
side goes across the Arms
Yeah,
driveway.
can you pull that
I'm
extra
having
that
her pull
up?
it up to
There's a
show
culvert
where,
right by their building.
Go to the intersection of 80th Street, Cemetery Road there, yeah. That's the drainage way it'll be converted to.
Can
There's
you
a
make it
drainage way
bigger?
just to the west down by the lift station, that's the natural drainage.
so what's their complaint where it's gonna go across which?
Right between there and the go across.
So that driveway right there,
Between
Can you
those
make
two
it bigger
buildings.
so we can see right by their buildings?
That's where it goes through there.
You can see they have some pipes that are underneath the drive there, and then a heavier storm that is overflow.
Oh, where's the man-made ditch go through that?
Like, that's all man-made, and then there's another to the west there.
You go over it.
It's right there. So that's the drive that goes down to the lift station, so go a little bit further south. And there's a pipe that outlets right there, and that's the drainage well that goes south. They both end up.
So that all, it ends up there.
If it goes to the west, it goes to the west. That was Tom's point. They don't want more water across that driveway, which I understand.
But going forward, there's a retention basin up here to release it slow to what would minimize a 60%. Moving the water.
It minimizes it both directions. The detention is not being changed, it's just the direction it happens. So the development is reducing the runoff. It runs off the walls, it's reducing the amount of walls we see in 5-year, 25-year, 50-year. It would technically increase what, like Art was saying, because that drainage doesn't go to his property.
Right now,
You're adding, even though it's minimal, you're adding.
it was free flowing before this property was being built, and now it's being held back somewhat.
Yeah, that's any site in the city being developed, that's the requirements.
Correct. I'm holding back more water than what was flowing.
Yep, yep. And where is it collecting? Is it collecting water from anywhere else? That northeast corner of the property, is there more water coming in from it?
Well, the parking lot is straight into that.
Yeah, the parking lot will. There's not much of a ditch there right now.
No, but I mean outside the property is it?
That's what I'm thinking. So technically, there's a small little ditch between 80th Street and the vacant site as you see it there. So stuff that comes off the street theoretically drains down that ditch and through the culvert underneath the drive pressure. It's hard to say how much drains south or how much drains across that site and drains towards Walms. Heavier storm event, there's probably some off-site runoff that drains across this site, drains southwest towards the Walms site. But they're building up that site, so any off-site runoff now will drain south. So the development just in that fact is helping Walms get into the don't provide this thing that's coming from that northeast corner or 80th Street will drain south now. Where there was a flat developed lot, some of that, especially the heavier storms, probably across the lot.
And the way you're looking right now, every bit of the water drops out of the sky, ends up at the southwest corner of the I mean, there's water along all these buildings here in Country Road ditch. That goes down ours. I'm not getting why I have to take all the water and the east retention basin can't go into the ditch. Road ditches are full of water.
So Shane and Steve, at the last council discussion like this, the council was in favor of doing what was proposed with the condition that the 4 property owners gave their commitment. So we have 3, so now it's up to the council to see whether they want to modify that or not.
How often does Arb's property flood over that?
I don't know. I told him it was gonna be discussed.
Has,
It'll probably
in the past, has,
bigger rain than.
Oh, it has, yeah. The city's actually put rock in there. You guys have approved rock to be added back after bigger rain events. Because it washes that rock out of the
I think
driveway.
the last time we did that, it's been over a couple of years.
Yeah, it's gonna be years.
There's 2 15-inch diameter pipes that go underneath it.
Yeah.
It used to be the city, when they did a bunch of drainage improvements in that area, it used to that whole site turn a corner and a fall drain that way. And it didn't handle it at all. The improvements that the city did back 5, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever it was, have improved it, but those guys point to, and Chris and Kevin's point, it's still over the main driveway.
Big rain.
big rain event, so it's not a common.
The normal rain.
But
I've
that's
never
where it's
seen-
always gone, hasn't it? That's where it's always
Yeah,
gone.
it's always blowing.
We just made it, we just improved it.
To contain it, so one stream sort of spread out.
It used to, so right now, before Shane Novak's development. That site would drain down through Lawns and then down through the corner of Fairfax's property and then down through Lud's. And then there was a 100-year-old culvert. It was like a 3-foot by 2-foot culvert. And then it came out near Yar's house, his parents. And then it would have to turn the corner and then drain down to his buildings. Which obviously, as you well know, water doesn't turn the corner very well. It would just pond up in there. So to help that improvement in that area. We took the drainage down past the railroad drive to go to the water station. We created a close swale along there for every goes. And purchased the property from Tom and built that drainage swale.
And you get
Goes
a
south from the station.
when you get a heavy event, that's all pretty good too.
Yeah.
So the next part is all sprinkles, like they're talking, is you can just put that water up a little bit both ways. My makes sense, they kind of go. I can't look through.
So the southwest corner, I think that's the important part of what you said. It'll, and reduce some of the overflow to south.
Yeah.
West
corner. The way it's designed, it takes us all in one area, to me, that might be a little too much, I don't know. But, don't know.
Yeah, I don't mind taking down the water,
Yeah,
but I don't want to take all.
but their idea is splitting it partial.
And I'm still retaining the water. I mean, I'm not looking.
Yeah.
Get rid of the ditch, you know, either way, it's benefiting from it because it's not a direct runoff anymore. It's not retaining.
That could be totally wrong with the engineer and water studies and all that, but that makes sense to me.
Well, the only problem is the design standards say you're supposed to keep the runoff drainage, same drainage as the existing site. You're not supposed to increase runoff on the site. Technically, if you change the direction, that could be considered increasing. Otherwise, it makes a lot of sense to dump it in the adjacent ditch, but it is not the way the site currently remains. That's the question. To start. The original design shows it dumping on the southwest, that's the site.
Why can't the original design be changed?
Well, for the design standards, they just explained that's not, the design standards do not allow for that. But council can accommodate that.
Assuming it's,
Design would put all the water into the road ditch.
all the design, I'm assuming, was off original
What's that?
elevations, well before the site was developed, right? As far as runoff went. There elevations taken in which way?
Yes.
It was all sloping towards Steve's
If you want to call it that. It was
minimal,
a foot change in 300 feet.
right?
Yes.
But it was grass slide.
Yeah, it didn't go anywhere. If you seen how much, I had to dig out how much fill I had to bring in. That ground was so saturated, it was insane.
So the design standards, we have, whenever this was the design standards back how many years ago, Shane? If this was going on, no box was building at that time, would the design standards have been accommodated for no box area? Because I think, Nick, what you're saying is there was no one knew what would be developed. So it was, the standards were built based on at that time.
You're talking a lots or one.
No box.
I guess not one.
Would the design standards have changed had no box been building at that time? The water runoff, where they made the standards based on what was currently there, however long ago that was, right?
Well, the SUDAS is the design standards. There's language in there about not increasing runoff on the site.
So we're,
So it's SUDAS, not ours.
Part of that, we didn't have
Well,
SUDAS.
SUDAS does not.
So to go way back, when that whole parcel was originally just grass, the accountant guy sold it in such a way that he didn't have to do anything, develop it, or didn't have to run for the water. So unfortunately, that's how we ended up with the mess with Vance's.
No, the mess with Vance's is they raised the land level, and they shouldn't.
You know what I mean? So the normal waterway through there got all messed up, so the water couldn't drain right. So we ended up doing that drainage soil to kind of get the water to go through there.
You know, the man-made conduit, that's definitely a no, 100%.
But we had to do that because originally they kind of piecemealed the properties out. And so they didn't, yeah. And so they didn't follow any kind of drainage regulations because the way they brought it into the city, they didn't have to. So we ended up with a mess that we had to fix.
Well, and part of it is, it was mentioned earlier, for Art's property at large rain events, you get some flooding. We get flooding in our driveway when it rains, not a big rain event, when snow melts, when it rains. It takes a long ass time for that stuff to drain out. So if Novak's fine rerouting it, and the only reason Art's doing it is that he's holding his hostage over something else that's totally unrelated, I don't see an issue.
I mean,
with
I
splitting
reached
it
out
up.
to that man and tried to get sit-down meetings a half a dozen times, and he won't talk about it because he's so pissed off at the city of Fairfax, quote unquote, his words.
Great news, we're talking about that next.
Yeah, that next, yeah.
I'm just being honest. I tried not going down this avenue. I tried to.
I don't have
consider
a huge
that he's
problem with it, as long as he's retaining the water on his property and
The detention
controlling the,
basins aren't changing.
yeah, so as long as he's controlling the way it's released into the ditch, I don't think it
I
should be a
don't see a,
problem.
I don't see a problem with it.
And it levels out where it comes out on the south side. I mean, with moving it all towards lawns, it's gonna increase the overflow where it comes out, where his fields are. Well, now you're kind of splitting it a little bit more.
Isn't it ironic that where we're trying to divert the water away from is where he's complaining about that there's not enough dirt from erosion? Isn't that weird? Isn't that crazy? I think we should help him, Tom, because we're helpful, by splitting the water flow to go down the west side of 80th Street.
So what would the council like to do?
What I just said.
That motion,
I make a motion for that.
And I will second his motion.
And just so that
So
I'm
you'll state
clear,
it in,
is
I
to
vote-
allow the drainage, from the east side or
Detention
slash
basin,
front to the ditch along 80th Street on the Novak
west
Electric
side,
site
yes.
with only 3 signatures or with no more
Yes.
signatures.
With 750, which is a great batting average.
Yeah, 7 minutes. Better than making.
Terrific, Betty.
I know, it's better than Vicky Van Lever did.
do I have a motion? We have a second. Cynthia, do you have what you need?
Yep.
Okay. All in favor then?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. There you go, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Have one for you, Nick.
All right. Item number 8. The ARP agreement, you'll see in your packet, we have a letter from their attorney requesting a longer period of time, 12 months, to see if the 10 loads of fill would be sufficient. Any thoughts on that, council?
This was done, what, in 2015 is when that project was completed. There was 5 years after that.
I've also,
I'll call it warranty. Is that about
I
it?
can't confirm the days, but something like that.
Yeah. But then we started.
I started in 15, it was already just
Yeah.
finished up, so it was started in 14, completed in 15.
So 19 or 20, so 5 years, and there's been minimal issues, I think, with having to redo it, but I'm not a fan of having an agreement for 10 loads, but then we'll see in the next 12 months to see if there is again. I'll use an example of Bryson Street over here. What did we just spend 25, 30,000 for
Twenty,
resurfacing.
4,000, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
For the third time, not fourth time.
has it ever been talked about going back to the developer? No. I mean, I look at it and I think, okay, he's trying, but I think that's my opinion to get into an agreement. We offered, I mean, to your words a few months ago, I'm forgetting the exact words, which was perfect. 10 loads to try to help out, but according to this, it's not.
So he has that agreement, but he has not
That's not
signed.
signed, but now he wants 12 months on top of that, if I read the attorney letter correctly.
Well, and I kind of explained to Tom that, we have the opportunity to get the dirt at, no cost to us. So basically, well, it would cost us because we'd have the man hours to, of course, haul it. And then I wasn't sure if he still wants us to spread it or not spread it, or if he just wants to pile it. Because we wanted to spread it so that we knew it was done and in the right place and
But
there
he
wouldn't be
planted,
any issues. But he planted, so now we can't. But either way, I guess we need to follow up to make sure we can still get access to the dirt and what that looks like.
I would think that there would still be available in the fall.
Okay.
No, we do have some at the shop, so
Okay.
if it's acceptable, there.
So
Well,
10
that's
loads
just it. I
can
know
be-
what they had was good topsoil, I think is what they said. Right?
So
Is what
10
Bruce
loads-
said?
10 loads is 40 cubic yards.
It's a
of
lot.
dirt.
It's a lot of dirt.
And it was
And that
initially
area's
us
not that
for what, 40 or 50 loads?
40 loads.
And I drove down there a couple times, and the first time I think I called you, and I don't know where 40 to 50 would enter into it, but
I think tens.
I don't think he has a concept of how big the loads are, but
Yeah, I'd say tens, because they're tandem loads, right?
Yes.
40, 50.
refresh my memory here. Is it because he doesn't like that it slopes down and floods out a little, or is it because he actually has a crop loss there?
a little bit of.
Because here's the rub.
There's a little bit of a pocket, not terrible.
Here's the rub I have, because we were compensating when I was first on the council for crop loss, even though we paid him for the sides of, the easement, the temporary easement. We paid him for that in advance, and I think the dollar amount, Shane might remember, was something like $7,800. So he got paid more than enough for the crop loss he came back on it, even after the 5 years were up. And the issue I'm having is he brought in heat maps that showed yield results from what he was taking out. But he never had any heat maps or yield results before all of this was done. So we're basically having to take his word that he totally was getting these yield results before the work, and now he's seeing this loss after. But he has no evidence to back that up. We still compensated him for it. But I think there comes a point, which I think we're past already, that if we can get material for, no material cost for loads of dirt and only have the labor hours involved, and he's still planting there. I mean, it wasn't big enough an issue to stop him from planting this year or the year before, to my knowledge.
and I don't expect him not to plant that field while waiting for dirt. He's got his business, he's got to run.
What I'm suggesting is if it was so bad, he would have been able to plant it, period, but he did. So the question is this 10? That's it. No waiting to see, maybe again next year you need some more.
And it was done out of good faith, I think is what the word is.
Yes.
Hey, we're trying to help you out here and be nice, but when I saw this, I was,
Fighting the hand that feeds
my
the rabbit.
reaction wasn't. Was not.
So what would your thoughts be then to just go back to him and say, this is the agreement,
There
take it or
it
leave
is.
it?
Yeah.
This is the best we can do,
That would be my recommendation.
and that
In
you
good
would,
faith.
in good
right.
faith, we will be more than glad to place it into this fall after you harvest. Put it wherever you want, like in that area, and then
And then it's done.
we're
There's no
done.
charge of using our equipment to.
Yeah, you'll place it and do all that stuff, yeah.
Even that's a fee. I gotta go to the machine and go hire somebody. to come in and do it down on the trailer. That's a cost. You know?
So it sounds like Mary Ann made a motion to stick with the original agreement.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Okay. Number 9, consider resolution authorizing and approving a loan agreement providing for the issuance of $1,300,000 general obligation corporate purpose bonds, series 2023, providing for the levy of access to today's bank.
This is the geo bond that we've been working on for the water tower and the bridge design. And these papers are from the bonding attorney.
So there any discussion or questions that Cynthia might be able to respond to? It has been going on for a while, so.
It's blurry and I don't know why.
Just check.
At first I thought it was me too. I thought, oh, I should have cleaned my glasses, but I think it's me. Or I think it's it.
I don't like grapes. Now, that's good later.
The owl fly.
Yeah.
Take care of
I
it.
gotta move the owl out of the way.
Is everything in order for this, Cynthia?
Yeah. It's
Then
not from the
I'll make a
bonding
motion.
Second.
Okay, we need a roll call on this and we'll start with Mary.
Aye.
I, sorry,
Do counterclockwise, aye.
I got me confused.
Okay. Thank you. Discussion and possible motion concerning the approval of the street dance area, service area, and the parking lot for the American Legion's outdoor service area for USA Days.
So just let me give you a little info. Usually they get an outdoor service area special 5-day permit. And I guess when they renewed in December, they got the outdoor service area, but that's usually just for a little patio area, you know. But Iowa Alcoholic Beverages says, no, it's fine. It's covered, that it all stays on their property. So really technically nothing needed to be done, but I wanted to make sure that everyone understood the area that it's going to be and that their liquor license will be in this area, because it wasn't how I understood it. Maybe I'm the only one in the city that didn't understand it that way.
I'm sure this is the way they've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, that's how they always do it.
Besides the 1 year.
Right, but this isn't how they always do the license. They've usually gotten a 5-day special event license thing.
But
and
they're saying
not
they
doing-
don't have to do
They're
that
just
now.
doing that as part of their regular license now. So, I mean, you don't really have to make a motion. I just wanted to be sure you were fully informed and comfortable with it.
Part of the parking lot's like,
Part of the area that they use is not their property.
Yeah.
part of the parking lot's library's parking lot.
Which part?
It would be.
Yeah.
Beyond the garages.
I'm afraid you're mistaken.
Yeah.
You want the real answer?
So.
Without the special license, they're supposed to keep it on their property.
Right. That was good. Bring up a good point.
So where would that be?
Top left. And then runs along the
Well,
Garage.
northern vent, which is the left side of the vent, on the garage.
Garage is this thing.
Yeah. Garage should be gone.
Garage should be gone.
Yeah.
well, I guess that's over.
Don't hold your breath on that. So we're told.
So here's the Legion. So they always have it back here. And there was the driveway that went here.
Right.
So they're encompassing where the lot, the Masonic Lodge was in this. And
They
then
did
before they weren't because.
They did that.
It does say not drawn to scale.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, God.
Were they planning on using that lot?
They did last year.
Oh, they did last year.
Was it fenced?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was.
I would say it's always been on part of the library because we've always, that's always gone through the library property.
Never been an issue.
Well,
You're not selling it on our property.
That is true.
They're consuming it on their property.
Right.
yeah, now you're gonna get technical. They're
But
selling
they
it.
consume it at
out
the
the
park and other places that we have.
They sell it right on a stand outside the back door, if you're familiar with the Legion. That's where they sell it. They don't sell it
Yes, right.
anywhere else.
Right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right there. They basically have a tent that you can buy inside of the bar. Those are the only two places they sell it. So if you want to be technical, if people meander into city property, is that the Legion's problem? Like you said, people walk around drinking booze at the city park.
Yeah,
We're gonna hold
if they're at the complex, they do it all the time.
Way holding wherever they bought it from, liable.
If you guys are comfortable with it, and I'll just try to clarify before next year. I believe that they're supposed to get that license, and that's what I've been telling them for 2 weeks, and we ended up with this.
Or do they have a certificate of insurance that they can just list the city as an additional insured?
I can ask,
On something
they
like this?
definitely have a grant, right? Yeah.
Or they just list us as an additional insured in case somebody does happen? We're not liable. That might be the easiest way to get around it. Good idea. Yeah, so we don't have to make a motion or do anything with this.
Okay, move on. Discussion on possible motion concerning new Class B retail alcohol license for Cron Design Studios. Stephanie?
Yes, I Hello. Yeah, so I have just a little studio here that I used to have in Cedar Rapids in the Newville area. And when I had that business there, we just sold wine by the bottle. It will not be consumed on the property. And we just kind of like to include specialty wines that they can't find everywhere else. Partly because my brother was a French wine distributor out of Des Moines, and so it's kind of a family thing trying to help him. But people have come to expect that, and this has been in the works for a while, but I had it listed under I had it listed under Lynn County, otherwise I would have been here a year ago. I'd be bugging you guys. So anyway, that's basically what it is, just selling different European wines by the bottle out of the store. We sell artwork and fabric and stuff there too, and antiques and things like that. So.
And Cynthia, all the paperwork is in
Yes.
order?
Yeah.
Any questions for Stephanie? And I'll take a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your help. Appreciate it. Have a good evening.
All right, moving on to number 12. Consider ordinance 85, amending the Fairfax Code of Ordinance of 2017, chapter 153, building code.
Do you not require a Knox box before?
No, it wasn't required. Chief Zanke came to the P and Z meeting, probably February, March, kind of gave a presentation, really pushing for Knox boxes everywhere, commercial, industrial, apartment buildings.
This is just for industrial, correct?
This is just for industrial and new multifamily, and this is just for new buildings. That's how it's written up. After P and Z kicked it around for a while, that's what they came up with was, let's not go to commercial, let's stick with the industrial. A lot of that comes out of that Marengo fire. And then new multifamily that's gonna use a self-locking common entrance. You'd like to see there. And every common entrance on that multifamily, which makes sense. Like I say, P and Z kicked this around for a few months.
It's not multi-family, you mean condos and apartments.
I can't remember.
Multi-family, you mean condos and apartments.
Well, condos, you're not gonna have common
I
entrance.
didn't know if that needed to be clarified or not.
If it's multifamily and they have a common entrance, yes.
There's
they
a
may
lobby
be
or
required.
whatever.
But condos,
Where you
I've
can't
never
get
seen a condo with a common entrance. Yeah, if someone designed one wants to build it, they'd be required to put it in that box. That's self-locking. If that door locks on its own, yes, it would be required to have a knock on it.
That cost.
Like $450.
So nothing.
It's not huge, yeah.
It's basically a lock box, you put it, it's into the building, and the firefighters have a key to get in there.
Right. Torero's been, they wanted them. That's really where it started out before Torero. But that's really what kicked it up. So Bushman's new building, they have to have one. Other than that, it really doesn't affect, well, if we end up with the next,
Regen?
yeah, that would, any of that, but they put on more with them to begin with. Rare, I think, ended up with them on several doors.
Got it on 3 sides. So it's such a big building.
They're a good thing, you know, P and Z looked at North Liberty's got an ordinance that everybody's got to have, you know, commercial, industrial, across the board. They looked at that. And our P and Z didn't feel like, commercial owners should be required to have it at this point. They thought it was an expense they shouldn't have it.
That's where we're throwing it out on the newsletters and trying to promote it, but that they're still can purchase it if they want.
Yeah. We're all for them all.
Even houses can put them on your own house if you want. They don't.
With the ring of fire, I think it's a good move on the industrial stuff to require it. There's no question.
Well, they say, but save your door and window later when you come for a call.
I see no issue with it.
I remember Spanky saying 1 a.m. he went to a call and he couldn't get in there. Waiting for 2 hours for someone to show up.
It was more of an apartment situation where the, landlord or whoever was supposed to come. So we're sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting, and they never show up. So.
Did you make a motion?
I'll make a
I'll
motion.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
that
So
has
that's
to
a
be
roll
roll
call. Okay, sorry. Roll call, and let Tom start this one.
Aye.
Okay. Would you like to motion to,
Motion to waive.
sorry, the second and third readings? Motion, and need a
Second,
second? Okay. Roll call, Mary Ann, you can start that one.
Aye.
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 Okay.
Motion for final passage.
and I'll second.
Motion for final. Got it? Second?
I second.
Kate, you can go ahead and start the
Oh,
roll
okay.
call. Yeah, just keep you on your toes.
Aye. Which direction we going?
Whatever way you want.
Let's go.
Aye.
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 Okay. All right. All right. Number 13. Wood ash trees. Lynn's got this one.
Unless you don't have any listed for Morning Drive.
Yeah, thank God all those are on private property.
Yeah, great.
So yeah, this is just, it had one system, which I've been watching here for a couple of years, actually, the Ashford board's been going on 25 years, they've been talking about through all our area, trying to prevent Cedar Rapids is took a lot of healthy trees out prior to the bug ever getting here, which I didn't like, but they were trying to stop being overwhelmed with something like this, because Cedar Rapids is kind of a town of ash trees, is what we call it. Here we have a lot less trees than what they did, so as the years went by, we just kind of let them be. I wasn't gonna take out any live tree or healthy tree for some reason. So we're to the point now, after right around the derecho, the bug kind of came in, started doing its damage. Last year, I think we took out 4 trees, 5 trees throughout the parks that we've been there for in Trinity, been there a long time, and they were badly hit by the bug. And as you can kind of see, and that's when I first started noticing it, as you can kind of see just driving around all over the county, you'll see these trees half feet down, partially laid down, or completely dead. That's what we're getting now. So we kind of called this year, there was some Skyview, I believe. They're one that has it right away, and it's completely gone. They just would like to know if we're gonna do something with it, if they have to do something with it, or what's the plan. The deal is, it's in right away for them. When they built the house, they were either told or the city planted them there. I don't know. I wasn't working here at that time. I know they were made, at one point they were made to put a tree out there. And this is what they got. So I know they feel that they shouldn't have to take it out because they didn't plant it there. They were told to plant it there. So their defense, I think I agree.
Yeah, Iowa code says that if it's dead in the right of way, it's the city's responsibility.
I would agree with that. It's the city's responsibility. So I would say we probably need to come up with a plan moving forward since it's now kind of here.
We
That-
have roughly about 30 of them currently that need to come out.
So I guess I would look at it that anything that is completely dead comes out, like, so I don't want to be overwhelmed with this, but anything that's completely dead maybe comes out and then we come up with some kind of percentage system. Once they get to a certain percentage of like where they're dead, then you, because I don't want you to have to take out 1 million trees at once. I think we kind of need to have a plan where we just,
So go back to those pictures, Mary Ann.
Yeah.
The trees that are partially leafed next year won't be leafed.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, if you just scroll down one,
yeah.
that one on the bottom right, that looks a little bit better than mine now, and they were completely leafed out last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were about 2-3 years.
They go away.
But I'm just saying, so like if you know, like if you looked right now at only the dead ones, completely dead, how many would you have?
It will be close to that number. I would consider, even if you go back to the pictures, the top two, give it a little time by fall, they'll probably be, then you might be able to get by till spring. The bottom two, the one on the left is completely gone. That was the one that called. The other one, I wouldn't want it. If you had that near your yard, would you want it?
Well, no, I'm just trying to figure out a way to move forward to where we're not taking down 100 trees this year.
It's
Well,
just, it's
I would think, when you want to give out one of those property owners, I would prefer it to be taken down in the winter when there's time, not tearing up my yard around snowfall. You know, you're got a ton of stuff going on all summer and you can work on them at that time. But I think even more important than that is to notify, put something in Fairfax facts to let people know, to what you said, your tree is starting to leaf out, it's gonna become more apparent. We need to let residents know what's going on. And then if you said it's state law that we have to remove it, then
Well, it's responsibility of the city to maintain any dead
Yeah,
tree.
and the very important is like you read those and then you're kind of saying the opposite. So,
But I agree, we probably should notify them in prior to removing
Oh,
said
yeah.
tree.
yeah.
But I think we need to have a plan, a list of where the trees are, what you're gonna take out.
Notify the owners at some point your ash trees get yanked.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
part of that notification, notify them that we're not gonna allow a tree back in there.
Correct.
Right, in the
You
right.
don't wanna keep this problem going.
Correct. I've seen one person trying to water. Trying to make it-
Trying to bring it back.
Not gonna-
Plus those tree spikes in there, they'll be fine.
So Lynn and I did tree tour and we talked about the options because, correct me if I'm wrong, Lynn, there's $10,000 a year in the budget for
We,
tree removal.
because this money usually comes out the streets. So.
So then the other question is,
Dollars into it, normally that's for 1 or 2 trees that we end up hiring, taken out somewhere.
so the next step on the plan is who's gonna take it out, the city or a third party?
Yeah, so
How far can you make that $10,000
three
go?
different calls currently trying to talk to different people to take them out, and I haven't got anything back yet.
Well, you could shift budget authority or do a budget amendment. You don't have to stay at the.
Yeah, change that for the next few years, it's up that budget, knowing that you're gonna have to do it.
We talked about it anyway with the tree removals in the right of way. Not even
Yeah.
talking about the ash trees.
Yeah, and I'm still, something needs to be done. We're gonna have problems. We haven't had any for the last, year and a half, 2 years.
Well, you-
So we've been pretty lucky for that so far. So far, we'll have it again.
You have problems with the sidewalk. I want a survey up there right now. Yeah, I mean, these trees are really.
I think we need to see an actual list of the trees. So you know the homeowners, you know the locations. So you got the list? Okay, so we can figure out a cost associated with each tree.
Yeah.
If you are gonna look at getting prices from other people. There's just 1 or 2 trees I could see, but if they're really big trees, I don't think it's safe for you guys to be doing that.
For the list I made, there's maybe 2, 3 questions on there. The rest of them, if I had it, I'd want to.
So what would you say if it's more than 50% dead it goes.
You contract out a bunch of trees, they give you a little better rate or not really?
Yes, and that one guy I'm talking to, I think we may get a real good price, I'm really hoping, but I haven't seen that yet.
Does that include the grinding of the stumps or not?
I'm telling them to do that. We bought a little grinder and they could do it, but boy, it'd be a job.
Where now?
I think to Mary's point, I think we're gonna have to prioritize these trees on them.
Yeah, I think we need to make a list of,
The
and
worst.
to see, because we might not be able to do all of them,
So this is
depending on the
just-
cost.
And this list is just the ones that I've seen that are in trouble currently. There's probably more out there that will be. And this does not count at all anything that's on private property. Just as I drove around quickly, I bet you're closer to 40 on private property.
But that's not us.
Yeah,
That's not us.
I mean, I can tell you there's one near me that I could look out, that's an ash tree that's dead.
Yeah.
So you
you're
can
gonna give
treat
us
them,
a
right?
little-
If they're not too far gone, you can treat them, but it's like $500-$600.
If there's a
Tree.
volume discount,
Yeah, so that's what I'm hoping, a meeting actually,
Yeah.
company at least Thursday. For one of them to look at it.
I think that the
And my dad
residents,
just treated his.
all
at
those
$600.
residents have to
Holy
be
shit.
notified.
But if
because
he's
I
treated
think
his
we're gonna
own,
have
is it? So-
some of those trees that are only partially leaved out, and if they face, or regardless, east or west, you're really, they're not gonna realize the first heat summer and how it's gonna impact them. And I think that
And some of these people may not even know their trees are trouble. A lot of people don't look up. So,
Or they might not know it's an ash tree, they might just think something's wrong.
I get that part right, that is, they don't know that it's an actual.
and a typical ash tree will try, to like, go back to the pictures. The typical ash tree will try to re-leaf itself out. So that one in the top right corner where it's all green, the kind of base, that's all stuff that's trying to survive. So it's trying to push out new growth, but the bugs in there, damage is done. And if you read in your ordinances, when you start looking at these or damaged trees, you want to get it out of there. Cannot transport that wood anywhere but here. It has to stay here. It has to stay in this county. So you cannot transport it.
So.
That's a state law, maybe federal law. They has to be destroyed. That's a permit. Get rid of it. Just bugs around. They want to take the bug from here somewhere else. And that's how the bug got here.
It's like if you transport.
Tables or firewood, that's how it got here.
So I don't feel like we can really do anything with this today, other than direct you to get pricing and get a plan put together so we can kind of figure out. But I would definitely say that we don't take trees out that are, 50%. What would you think is a good
depends
number?
on what the quotes come back in. If they're giving me a volume discount to yank out this list right here, then I would probably say do a budget amendment of some kind to get it all done. I mean, I understand, but it's gonna be a while to get all these yanked out of, right away.
But you're leaning towards the city, taking them out compared to the mobile.
Well, I think if we see categorized, how many are completely dead, like the one on the bottom left, how many of those are there? If there's, getting to your question, it's our responsibility.
It is our responsibility, state law says it is.
So that's what I'll tell the one person that really wants to know.
So along that same line, though, Chris and I have been having conversations about, in the same ordinance, however, this
It
state
says,
trimming of trees that are in the right of way is the homeowner's
and the
responsibility. right?
removal of the nuisance.
So that question
That's
may come
easy for the homeowner. Right.
I put it in there, the ordinance is in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you read your ordinance, it doesn't quite fit what you're planning on doing.
I'm talking about state law.
What's that?
And there-
State law says it's the
always
city.
trumps ours.
Yeah, still on Trump's.
Yeah, so our ordinance doesn't really match. what-
Well, then maybe we need to look at changing our ordinance so it meets what our needs are moving forward.
The trimming's fine with state law, but the removing of the nuisance or disease dead tree that's the city's and that's the state law.
And that kind of goes back to my old plant trees in the road.
So would the council like Linda come back at the next meeting with a plan?
I would say so.
And categorized, and how many there are. can we put that in the facts and really start to get some information out?
We can make up a letter of some type.
Oh, we're putting some in there about trimming the responsibility of the property owner to trim their tree. If
So you
overhangs the
could-
sidewalk, so we can add it.
So you could say, hey, you need to trim your trees, but if you do have an ash that is sick, please contact the city. Looking at removing those.
Specified in the right of way, not the private. road.
And if possible, put a picture of a tree and not singling out a resident. If you can crop it such a way.
This
This
is
is going
ugly
on.
tree, and it's gonna be like this.
What you said, no one really looks up.
Yeah, there's so much out there on that shore that's been going on, like I said, for 5 years.
Yeah.
Just, but now it's hit hard.
I want to inform all the residents so they know beforehand, hey, yours is one and we're gonna do yours.
Some
And they'll get
people,
a letter too.
some people might not want theirs out.
Yeah.
And again,
And they're.
they would go to the bottom of the list. Eventually it will have to come out. But if if you don't, why take somebody out that doesn't want it when we could take
Yeah.
someone else's that does?
On this list, I can think of 2 or 3 that would be that way from the derecho, that was damaged from the derecho. We gave them an option. Do you want to keep it? You want to see what it does? And they're like, yeah, you ain't touching the trees. That's fine.
I would just say they go to the bottom of the list because there's no sense in,
They'll change it.
Eventually, it's gonna be, we'll do that anyway.
it'll be a non-issue eventually.
Maybe they don't fire, but who knows? You don't know what they think.
But these are all ash trees, that's all.
All that, only ash trees. And they're only green ash, I believe. I don't think you've seen any purple ash at all. So there's the purple ash in our area. Our area, Walford, can't speak for really Cedar Rapids. They don't travel around like they used to. But it really hasn't hit the purple ash that was supposed to, but I don't know why it hasn't yet.
Should we put a picture, since some people may not know what an ash tree is, should we like to have a picture of a stereotypical ash tree?
If they have one, they're gonna get a letter.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, some people may be dumb. I mean,
Right, but they're gonna get a letter, and then they'll know.
Don't know. We'll let them know. We'll help them out, and let them know.
So Mary Ann made a motion.
Second, I think.
A
What
motion
did
for
you say?
what? I didn't think we were gonna take
Just
the
discussion.
effort.
For Lynn to come back with a plan.
We don't-
We don't need a motion.
Okay, okay, no motion needed. All right, good. All right. Number 14, consider resolution for pay application number 1 for Nelson Electric for the Parks Lighting upgrade project.
I don't really know anything about it, but do like me to get John on the line here.
Is he on there?
Couldn't call him, I can call him out.
Yeah, he's trying, but.
Does anybody have any questions? I guess we're just paying them a progress voucher on work they've already completed.
This item and the next one. Yeah, just, they're not final, they're not change orders.
They're just progress.
Billing.
Yeah, I would make a motion to approve the progress billing.
Second,
And roll call, please.
Aye. Aye.
I,
Aye.
Number 15, resolution to pay application number 1 from Eastern Iowa Excavating and Concrete for Parkland Nights Park Project. $70,452.62.
Same, thing, okay. Second,
Roll call, please. Karen, you go ahead.
aye.
Aye.
I,
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Number 16, resolution to approve Travero's sidewalk plan. Looks like Shane's going to talk about that.
Yeah, so per their development agreement, they were required to put in the sidewalk along Lefevere Road. The property up to the south side of the triple box culvert that was put in with the overlay project. And, so that's basically what the plan sheet is for, as they get on the north side and, tie in and bring it back to the road across the box culvert. It's a ditch section through there, so there's a culvert that takes the ditch and dumps it out into the creek just downstream from the box culvert. So the sidewalk actually veers into Travero's property. So that's what the public sidewalk easement is for the portion of the sidewalk on their property.
This,
Yeah, so that's the plan sheet. And the bottom right of that kind of shows the sidewalk moving onto their property.
Am I in the right
Yeah,
spot?
keep going down. And then scroll to the right a little bit. Down a little bit further. Yeah, right there. So on that lower left-hand side is, you can kind of see the sidewalk circles out and then ties back into the field drive just south of Fox Culvert. You have to extend that culvert, the culvert that drains from the south, drains the ditch from the south underneath the field drive and dumps into the creek at the downstream side of the box culvert. So they have to extend that circular culvert to the south a little bit to get the grades to work.
You see any issue with it?
Looks a little different, but they have certain requirements since it's there's no curb and gutter on it. It's a rural section. The ditch section, there's certain slopes they have to meet. I think the design speed down there is 45 miles an hour. So, you know, if the vehicle goes off the road, they don't slam into the front of the culvert. So they had to extend that culvert out to meet the slope requirements coming off the sidewalk. Which they did.
So you don't see any problems with it then?
Oh,
I'll make a motion.
Roll call, please. Marianne?
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
Thanks, Shane. Number 17, consider resolution concerning city credit card account. So do you want to explain what we're doing here?
So, we've always had our credit card through Fairfax State Savings Bank, and they have changed credit card processors from Elon to this TCM Bank. And, so they came and, Holly, I think that was her name, came and made a presentation to us, and it'll work just like our current one. But it'll just stay being processed through their card processor. And, so if you approve this and we'll fill out the paperwork, we'll keep the other one until we get the new cards for everybody, get them all switched over, get that account to zero for a month, and then we'll just start using the new cards.
Any questions?
No change in fees or anything?
There is no fees. We pay it full each month. We get one statement, has everybody's activity on it. We can get on and, adjust their line of credit, add or delete employees. This works all the same.
Does it have any rewards or anything with this
But
card?
yeah, oh yeah, this new one does have rewards. The other one did not.
No cash real.
Yeah, yeah.
Dunkin' Donut.
Yeah.
Mileage points, yeah. Any other questions? Not take a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, Tom.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Number 18, Cynthia, or transfer resolution.
This is just to transfer some money from the general fund into the garbage fund. If you remember, the audit noted that the garbage fund was overdrawn at the end of the last fiscal year. And we try to keep the amount that we charge over Republic's fee to a minimum. And so this is just kind of build up over the years. And so I would think that this would last 2 or 3 years, but to taking it to positive but not tons. And make the auditors happy as of June 30.
All motion.
Second.
Roll call, please, Marianne.
Aye.
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 Okay. All right, in your packet, you have some information on an opportunity for speed feedback.
And with that, I've already contacted Chad and we're on a list. And he's supposed to send me information as he gets it. He was already overwhelmed because he didn't know what was going on.
Easy talk? or who are you talking about? Chad?
Chad from, DOT,
Regionals.
So the DOT,
he's
thanks.
from our district, he's in charge of us. So he's
Is there a deadline?
not that I know of. So we're, part of the top of this currently, so.
But no cost to us,
No
right?
cost to us.
And that's where, when you approach it, it shows you what your speed
I
is.
love this thing.
We will take over possession of it and maintenance of it and any maintenance cost of it in the future.
So are we gonna get one?
Two,
Where are we putting them?
it has to be along the highway. So as I was talking to him, or they recommended the front beginning at the end, we were both kind of agreement that we're supposed to meet together at some point and pick a location.
Getting at the end of what? City limits?
Yeah.
Fifty-five at both ends.
So we talked about even putting it down here with the speed limit drop down to 45.
I'd say we're reduces for that.
Yeah. Is it?
To make sure they're going with the speed that they need to when they get down here.
Yeah.
I would agree with that
So
too.
it'd actually be over.
Directions is.
I would think, would it be on both
One
sides?
south, one going north.
45, 45.
Yeah,
Both incoming to the town, yeah.
that's kind of the thought. So,
Yeah.
And then we had Kevin rewire. So when they're doing 25, it's.
It was flash at 25. Siren.
for other lists.
That's why we love to change the speed limits.
And application, once we get that, then we can bring it back up here. Okay, that's what it- we currently, as a city, last year, with the budget on the street side of it, we had a little bit of spare money towards the end of the year and the budget year. So we bought one last year. I don't think it's gonna be the same brand. So we currently have one. We just have not put it up yet.
Hi.
Haven't had time.
Yeah, now wait a minute.
I had those in the last few years. Now they don't want to pay attention.
Not really.
Yeah.
Wow.
They do the way.
You gotta buy a car up there.
Getting ran over at high
That
school.
was a great safety.
Yeah,
Just I know they don't.
it's the same thing. It will be like a picture. It will be on the post. We can take it off the post. Put that post wherever.
Besides,
Still a heavier post than what we have.
So we'll have three.
My school plows for like Hightown, so we used to have a lot of problems going up and down Highland. Fairfax Road, the new Beverly Road, going into the new development. They love line through there. They don't know what those red things are on the poles. But, yeah, so those are my thoughts. But,
So when Lynn gets more information, and we have a time frame, then you can come back and,
you know, but the one that we bought and these will give you traffic feedback. So theorize how well that works, how well that lasts, I don't know. But it'll give you feedbacks of what the speeds were, what was going on. So it's kind of neat that way. So,
okay. So that was just a discussion topic. Does you have some more questions for Lynn? All right, number 20. Anyone have any questions on the claims list? If not, consider a motion to approve.
Motion, pay the bills.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Opportunity for citizens not on the agenda. Anybody? have anything to say? Okay. Move on to mayor's comments. First, I'd like to thank Cynthia. She's really been working with the owl and we're still experimenting, trying to figure out placement and how to manage it. So we'll see how this works this evening and it'll go out on YouTube, but it won't be linked to anything at this point.
It won't be linked to the agenda yet, and we weren't live streaming tonight, but hopefully by the next meeting.
Yeah, just getting stuff. So thanks Cynthia for doing that and thanks to Kevin for rescuing the splash pad and keeping it uploaded.
still ongoing process.
It's an ongoing process.
Right, that, done yet.
Okay. And then Saturday is citywide cleanup day, so an advance thank you to everybody who's working that. Who's that, Lynn and Cynthia? Right here in City Hall parking lot.
What time does it start?
7.
7.
Till 10, right? 10. And also, before we meet again, we'll have USA Days under our belt. And KCRG was here yesterday around town filming for the mid-July Fairfax series. So looking forward to seeing what they do with that. That's all I have. Cynthia, do you have anything?
Yeah, just letting you know, as of tomorrow, Tina's on vacation. She's going to Canada. She'll be gone for a week and a half.
That's where she's from.
Who would told me this when she was getting hired?
Kate and Joanne and I are registered for the LEAP conference in September. It's in Cedar Rapids. So it's great that you can go and you don't have a hotel expense. If anybody else wants to get registered, let me know and I'll get you registered. And today in your correspondence, I added an annexation application that we're still working with Shane. And it has to go to the PNC first. It really isn't ready for you guys, but you can have, it was a voluntary annexation application that we got over the PDF form as we have. And we received an email today from the city of Cedar Rapids that they want to get a meeting scheduled. So,
I'm sure it'll go back.
Yeah, it'll go over.
And Mary Ann is representing the council in our meetings in that regard. Thanks to her.
I think it's that, I don't know why they do it at Cedar Rapids with the city manager and staff or something, so.
On their,
Yeah. So we'll see.
It's convenient, it's on their turf, not neutral.
They asked if they could do that. Yeah, they didn't tell. They did ask.
anything else, Cynthia?
no,
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
You gotta call first.
All right.
so do you think there's something up there that makes it
I
blur?
think it's dirty.
There's a phone.
Yeah.
Don't tell my safety department. I'm not on the clock.
Yeah, keep it how long in case you get it.
You need the spotter.
It's great.
Better?
Let's get that.
Better?
Put some up on a document, Word document.
What?
Can you put a Word document up? Curious?
Actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, way better.
Yeah.
Where did you go? Where did you go?
What do we